currently recording now. I'll let you know when we're live.
Is my audio good, by the way?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay, we appear to be live now.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I got it right that time. Good evening. Um, we are here with a different RPG than usual, Honor and Intrigue, which is sort of a swashbuckling RPG. It's very simple in a lot of ways, um, and we are playing in a rather anachronistic setting, which is the alternate history setting of Kaiserreich. If anyone knows what that is. Now, um, this campaign is called Boiling Point, and it takes place in Shanghai. Um, so, our heroes have received, well, our heroes have received letters from someone who hasn't identified himself, saying that if they would like to move up in Shanghai, basically, as they're all employed in various, um, or with the exception of Lefwin, who is just kind of ridiculously wealthy, they are all employed in various aspects of Shanghai's governance or its business or whatnot. Um, Now, in the case of Evelyn Granville, however, the letter was actually intended for her sick husband. Um, Now, this brings us to our heroes at the docks of Shanghai, trying to find someone named. Um, Let me just. Sorry. Of course, I forget the guy's name as soon as I say that, so I'm just going to pull up my notes. Uh, you know how it is. Uh, Sepp von Adler, who is an Oberst in the German army, the Imperial German army. In this universe, Germany wins World War One, and this takes place in January of 1936. So, just to set the scene, it is the 3rd of January, 8:52 p.m. roughly in Shanghai, and you guys don't know each other yet, but you're all looking for the same guy in the docks in Shanghai. So, um, just to spare everyone the having to say, well, I look for him, I'm just going to say, you all eventually find the guy. Uh, he is a reasonably tall Pomeranian man with a monocle, a prominent gold tooth, a titanium headed cane, and a fur coat that reaches past his knees. He is smiling warmly and smoking a cigarette. Uh, this man matches the description of the man you were given in the letters you received, and is very clearly an army officer. Uh, does anyone approach him?
Wilhelm will approach him.
Could you describe Wilhelm Lindemann's appearance?
Okay, Wilhelm Lindemann is a very like a middle-aged gentleman from the city of Königsberg in Prussia. I'd say he has probably like light, it's like light brown hair and some like very weathered like gray eyes. He has like a big handlebar mustache, and he's wearing it's like a dark gray business suit, and he has a like a German Iron Cross medal like on display. He is comparatively speaking to the native population in Shanghai, a giant, standing at 6'7" and weighs about 240 pounds. And he also carries a leather holster on his hip.
Guten Nachten. You must be Wilhelm Lindemann. Am I mistaken?
That would be me. He what rank is your is his
Adler, or sorry, Sepp von Adler, you mean?
yes.
He is an Oberst, meaning a colonel.
Oberst. Okay. So I think let's see. Well, let's see. Lindemann isn't a you would actually outrank him at least. So it was at least in my bio, but either way, he salutes him in a customary manner.
Adler salutes back. And he actually recognizes you. Lindemann, I am somewhat of an admirer of your work. I had learned that you had become a diplomat to the legation government, and though the others I summoned were to accompany me on my walk to the old legation quarter were of lesser status than I. It was a great honor to call upon you, and it is a great honor to meet you.
I am honored.
Well, let's see about the others. I believe I recognize the one with the scar. That would be Lefwin.
Ja, bist du aus dem Adlerhorst? Herr Adler. Are you
Out of
from the
character,
Eagle's Nest?
Oh,
Yeah.
speaking
Are you
German,
from the
okay.
Eagle's Nest? Yeah, yeah. Are you from the Eagle's Nest?
I am from mainland Deutschland itself. Yes, I understand you are Bulgarian.
Yes, my nationality is questionable, as I have roots that spread in different countries. But that's where I'm a petty noble there, you could say. It's a pleasure to meet you, and I'll shake his hand firmly.
Jawohl, it is a pleasure to meet you too.
Yeah,
My accent is all over the place, by the way.
it's perfect. I love it. I love it.
And then I'm just do Evelyn and Jean-Luc approach as well?
I think Evelyn will probably hold back for a couple minutes till everybody else kind of introduces themselves.
I'll say Jean-Luc probably shows up closer to on time rather than early, but he will approach, and as soon as he sees the group, he'll run up and be introducing himself. Bonjour, bonjour.
Well, if it isn't the illustrious Jean-Luc Dubois.
How are you today?
It is a fine day. I've just arrived from mainland Germany. Though my ship did anchor in Indochina for a bit. It is a pleasant place, but far too hot.
Jean-Luc will just nod and agree and be like, that is quite the trip, but glad to see you have made it.
Indeed. Indeed. By the way, how are things back in the motherland? I haven't I've been I haven't been on my I haven't been in the homeland for quite some time.
Die Vaterland is doing well, though I am hearing murmurings about the economy that worry me. They are saying that soon we will enter a recession. It is no concern. I am a military man, and it is my concern to serve my country, no matter what state she is in. Now, I believe we are only missing one man, who I do not see.
So Evelyn will kind of like hang back for a little bit, and then she'll very slowly approach, and she really has no idea how to interact with.
It's all right. It's all right.
Oh, she won't really know how to interact with anybody, so she'll just kind of offer her hand to him and just say, "Hello, my name is Evelyn."
Now, I assume you were all speaking English, other than Lefwin, who approached him in German, right?
Yeah, I would be speaking English because I assume no one else knows French, specifically Quebecois French, which would sound quite a bit different to a native French speaker. But yeah, I would be speaking pretty broken English.
Whichever language you are speaking in, he is responding in that language, I will say. But anyway, he bows to Evelyn and he says, Mädchen, to what do I owe the pleasure? Mädchen means like young woman, by the way.
Yes. She'll say, "Nice to meet you. I am here in my husband's place.
That would be Herr Gonville, right?
Yes. She's just like this very tiny, like 5 foot, very skinny woman in a dress and heels. So she's not threatening at all. She is she's just very meek and quiet.
Wilhelm just kind of stares at you and just kind of blinks incredulously before breaking out into laughter.
I would ask you to reconsider. These streets are somewhat dangerous, which is why I asked men to accompany me. However, if you would like, we can discuss business, and I would ask you to convey my respect to your husband. I'm sorry to hear that he could not make it.
He is very ill, but I know that this would be very important to him, so I would like to be here in his place.
Perhaps when we reach the old legation quarter, we shall drink to his health then. Now, it has been good to meet you all. We shall be off, I thinks. And he will begin walking out from the docks and down into the city. I assume everyone's going with him?
Yeah, I'll follow him.
Yes.
All right.
Yep.
He's not done talking though. Don't you worry.
Okay.
Uh, so, if I may ask, um, Mr. And then he tries to remember how to pronounce Lefwin's surname. Lefwin and you're not going to help him?
Oh, I will. I will. I'll just got a call from somebody else. My bad.
Oh, no worries.
It's Saxe-Coburg Gotha. You might have heard the name. That's the name.
Jawohl, I understand. It was conveyed to me in a different dialect.
Indeed, yes. It was made to sound closer to the Slavic people.
So, if I may ask, would you consider yourself an educated man?
Yes, I do. I do consider myself well-read.
Of
And why
what
would you ask me that?
are- Oh, simply to make conversation, you must see.
Ah,
Of what are you most knowledgeable?
well, I know the value of things, and I know how to communicate with the aristocracy, seeing as I am part of it myself.
So then, rhetoric. That is an art I am
Yes.
not terribly familiar with outside of my reading of, say, Aristotle.
Well, rhetoric, dialectics, they were all taught to me. I have some knowledge of those things, perhaps more than the ordinary man, and yeah. If there would be a chance for me to speak to someone of my stature, I will follow the appropriate etiquette. But as you are just my friend, I feel like this casual talk will suffice for the time being.
Understood. And, Monsieur Dubois, my understanding is that you are very well traveled, yes?
Yes, indeed.
To which places
been,
have you been before you were in Shanghai?
I have been to many lands, and he explains basically that he's spent quite a bit of time as a sailor. But yeah, he's been basically like all over Europe, England, all that. But he's recently been led to Shanghai, and I guess he's decided to kind of start his entertainment career back up, and is trying to work as a performer. But yeah, he gives you a vast story of all these different lands and various places that sound quite a bit more elegant than perhaps he's even leading on to as reality.
And how old is Jean-Luc?
I'm gonna say he's probably in his 20s, maybe like 26.
Now, Monsieur, you must understand, I am unused to interacting with men of your age who have such worldly experience. As an army officer, most of my interaction with those of your age bracket are with rank and file men of the Kaiser's service. So it is refreshing to know that our youth are not only strong, or the youth of the world are not only strong, they are also clever. Now, Herr Lindemann, my understanding is that you had been a very educated man as well. Would you care to enlighten me about some of the finer points of what you studied?
Well, in the latter years of my time serving in the army, I'd studied the economics to gain a better insight into what best served which best served the Reich's interests.
Very good. And it seems we've lost Lubin. He'll be back, I'm sure. Probably internet. It is a very good thing to study economics because it is neglected, I think, by German academia in some ways, especially in recent years since the Weltkrieg, when the more scholastic arts are more commonly studied. I am sure we will have interesting conversations in the weeks to come if the predictions I've heard from the Vaterland come true. Though I pray that they do not. Now, Evelyn Grunville, could you tell us about well, I suppose I don't know where to start. I want to ask everyone questions and to get a sense of them, but I know nothing of you, only of your husband.
Yes, I spent a lot of time at the house. I've been a housewife for the past year, but before that, I did study nursing. I volunteered at my father's hospital. Really not much else to know about me, though.
Oh, that cannot be true. There is much to know about everyone. I find that more and more true as I grow older. I should mention Adler is probably in his early 50s. In any case, he will continue to talk to you guys for probably about an hour, demonstrating his command of various languages and if you have any questions for him, this would be the time to ask. Ominous foreshadowing. Is everyone there?
Yeah, I am here.
Yeah,
All right.
I had to drop
Just
out
everyone
for
was really
like,
silent. It's all right.
I'm sorry I missed a little bit of the introduction.
Oh, you didn't miss too much.
Okay.
So in any case, I would like everyone to make a savvy check and add 1 to the results. You're going to roll 2d6, you're going to add 1, and then you're going to add your savvy. Feel free to do that either with the dice bot or physical dice.
So we roll d6 or yeah?
So
2d6.
add your savvy and a 1 to that as well.
Yep,
That's a 10 for me.
that's a success.
A 10 for me, too.
Anything 9 and higher is a success, by the way, I should mention.
I got an 11.
Boxcars, which is like 2 6s. Tell me if you get that. and then also tell me if you get snake eyes, 2 1s.
Oh, cool.
I got 12 altogether, but that was including my savvy and the +1, so it was a 5 and a 4.
I gotcha. And what did Levin get?
I got 6 and 5, which plus my savvy is 12.
Cool. So, all of you notice that there are people sort of watching the Oberst intently as they walk past him. And as he walks down the street, all of them, you notice, are native Chinese, and some of them are like whispering to each other.
Wilhelm kind of has his hand like over his holster. He hasn't drawn it, of course. He just has it. He's just kind of getting his hand at the ready if in case he needs to.
Herr Lindemann, are you on edge? Nervous about something?
I couldn't help but notice the stares and the murmurs from the natives.
Ah, that could mean a lot of things. Stay on guard, gentlemen and Evelyn. I am not overly worried, but we are entering a rather tenement district of town.
We're entering the rough side of this place.
Very much. And
just what I
looking around, you'll all notice like this place, like the district you're in currently, is kind of a bit of a shanty town with dwellings made of scrap metal and tarps and whatnot.
These people are very poor.
And yet, when we have walked for another hour, we will be amongst the very rich. That is how Shanghai works, in my experience.
Lefwin will be dissatisfied with the societal order and just keep that to himself, but it will have a certain expression of disappointment.
Yes, China is a destitute country, but the Westerners who come here make a whole lot of money. One could blame that on China's unwillingness to modernize, and I think that would be correct. However, they have made great strides in recent decades.
Well, judging by the state of this place, I wouldn't have thought so. Perhaps my opinion will change with time.
Yes, perhaps. In any case, and he is interrupted by a yell in guttural Chinese. Does anyone speak Chinese?
No.
Nope.
Wilhelm does not.
All right. So nobody speaks it, but doesn't matter because the meaning becomes clear when I would say roughly 10 of these rough-looking guys sort of come out of the woodwork, and quite literally out of the woodwork, bearing clubs, pistols, and knives. I will have everyone. I will have everyone roll initiative. So that's 1d6. Add your savvy, assuming you are all player characters. That is.
I have a 3.
All right.
I have
6.
5.
7.
So Jean-Luc got 7,
Yeah, 5 plus my 2 savvy.
and then Wilhelm got 5. Leffen got 3.
Yeah.
And what did Evelyn get?
6.
6. Okay. And then at the very bottom of initiative are all of these guys. Though I won't put them in that message. I just messaged everyone the initiative order.
Okay.
So Adler is going to basically just demonstrate some fine combat. He is going to draw his Luger, and so and I should mention, so the enemies, the reason there's 10 of them and the reason you shouldn't feel overwhelmed about that is because they are designated as pawns, meaning they are very weak and they have 1 health. So I just thought I'd point that out. So he is going to split his action, his major action, he's going to split his action, meaning he will take 2 major actions, but each will be at a -2 penalty. First thing he's going to do is he is going to make a ranged attack on one of them with his Luger. And so he rolls 2d6, adds his savvy and his ranged, and then the range at which he is firing is roughly just the base range, so +0 from that. And he's rolling against the opponent's defense, which is just 2d6 plus defense. And he hits. I'm not going to bother rolling damage. He kills one of these guys. But then with his other action, he's going to just calmly stride up, walking with his cane, and he is going to roll Blade Work, which is a normal melee attack, against the... And so that's daring plus melee against the defense of the enemy. And basically, what he's going to do, and feel free to, whenever you attack someone, just describe in detail what you're going to do. He's going to smack one of these thugs in the head with the head of his cane, knocking them on the ground, and then he's going to drive it through their eye socket. Gentlemen, we are under attack. At arms.
To arms.
It's your turn.
I guess I'll pull out one of my throwing daggers and throw it if I'm within range.
Yeah, you're within range of pretty much all of these guys.
I guess that's a ranged attack would be the...
Yes.
So is that 2d6 as well?
Actually, I think it might be called a blade throw. Yeah, it's called a blade throw. So
Okay.
that's flare plus melee.
Is that plus any roll?
Yes, that's 2d6.
Okay. So flare is 2. And you said melee as well?
Yep.
3. So it's 7 altogether.
7 with the roll.
Correct, yeah.
All right. Now this guy also has a 7. Oh, Did you guys all read through the combat section, by the way?
Briefly.
I tried to get through it, yeah.
That's gonna make this a little more difficult. We're gonna ignore that for now, I guess, and I would like everyone to read that before next session.
No worries. Just double checking, actually. Blade throw would be throwing an actual blade, right? Because ranged attack does say throw a knife.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
So that's savvy and ranged.
Okay.
Not to be that guy, but
Oh, don't worry about it.
so my savvy would have been 2, my ranged would have been 2, so that's actually 8. That doesn't really change much, I don't think.
Actually, it does change it because otherwise it would have been a tie. So you are able to throw one of your knives into one of these gangsters and knock him down. Do you want to do anything else?
Nope, that's it.
So you're saving your bonus act or your minor action for a reaction?
Yeah, I'll save that for now.
Okay. Then Evelyn?
Okay, so she is going to reach into her bag and pull out her husband's revolver. And aim at one of them and hopefully attempt to fire this gun that she has never fired before.
All right, so that is a ranged attack, savvy plus ranged plus your roll.
Okay, 1 second. $12, if I'm correct.
All right. That's going to be a hit. And you are able to dispatch one of the assailants. So that's 4 down, roughly, out of roughly 10. I'm not telling you the exact number. That's going to bring us to Wilhelm.
Wilhelm is going to reach into his holster and pull out his C96 broom handle Mauser pistol. They don't call it the broom handle in Germany. It's just the nickname we call
I
it.
got you.
But yeah, he's going to draw that and fire, attempt to shoot at, another one of these hoodlums, as it would be. And that is 2d6 and anything else that I need to add to that?
Savvy and ranged.
Savvy and ranged, okay. That's a natural 12.
All right. Headshot right between the eyes. Another one down. Do you do anything else with your turn?
No, but he just kind of like say under his breath to himself, I still got it.
And then that brings us to Lefvin.
Yes, I'll pull out my Gewehr 90 and take aim.
And that's a rifle, right?
That's my rifle, yeah. It's a German, I think, rifle, bolt rifle, bolt action. So I don't know how quickly you can shoot with it, but I'll try to do it in one.
So if you check the If you check the Google Doc where I had all of the campaign information, you'll see there's a couple of rules for firearms, but basically what it boils down to is they just don't take as long. Like a rifle is just a musket, except it doesn't take 3 major actions to reload.
Okay. So the shooting is quicker. A little
Yeah.
bit. Okay, well, I'll assume I can shoot this round.
Yep.
Okay, well, I'll take a shot. And that was my combat skill with ranged, right?
Yep.
So plus 2d6.
Well, and plus savvy.
Okay, okay. So let's do this. I got 9 together. All the mods and the 2d6. 6, 1 plus 2. 7 plus 2.
So what's the total?
9. So I'm shooting
All right.
at one of these ruffians or whatever they are. These hostile.
That's gonna hit, and you're able to dispatch him.
Yeah. It brings me great satisfaction.
All right, and so there are. I'll just say it. There are 5 remaining, and you've taken out a total of 5. Now the first one happens to have a revolver. He is going to take aim at the colonel and try to shoot him. Rolls a total of 9. The colonel is hit because he failed to defend. However, and this is combat rules stuff, so when you get hit, you can do a ton of things that prevent you from actually getting hit. One of them is you can yield advantage. We're not using advantage because nobody read the combat section, which is my fault. I should have elucidated that that was important. One of them is, so he does not have a reaction with which to make an active defense, so he can't do that. However, he can either spend a fortune point to increase his passive defense by 1, which wouldn't be enough, or he can just take the hit, and that's what he's going to have to do. In total, he takes 2 damage. Not a lot. So it's kind of just a grazing shot across the shoulder. The remaining 4, one of them is going to go after Jean-Luc with a club. He's going to roll blade work. Boxcars. So he has a 12 to hit, and so you're going to roll defense, and then if what you roll for defense is not greater to or equal to what he rolled, which is 12, then you're going to have to either take the hit or do one of those other things. Are you there?
Sorry, yeah, I was just on mute. I rolled 7 altogether with modifiers.
All right, so you cannot spend a fortune point to increase your passive defense by 1, or you can, rather, but it wouldn't do anything. So what remains to you is you can either take the hit, or you can do an active defense. So what that is you can use your reaction, and you do have one saved, to either parry or dodge. So a parry is just a second. sorry. A parry is going to be savvy plus melee, and a dodge would just be would just increase your defense by 2.
I'll try to parry him if I can.
All right, so roll savvy plus melee.
Okay.
And what are you parrying with? Another knife?
Yes. That's 8 altogether.
That is not going to cut it. So you are going to take the hit.
Okay.
Oh, another thing you could have done, sorry, is a stop thrust, I believe you can do. A cloak parry, though I don't think you have a cloak. A bare hand parry. Or, yeah, I believe that's all.
Yeah, that's fine how it worked out.
All right.
So how much damage was that to...
I'm trying to figure that out, sorry.
No worries. Sorry, that was the knife he was using? I think it's
That was a
D3 plus
club.
1?
That was a
Oh,
club,
okay.
which is like the one weapon where I don't know how much damage it does. So I should have looked. 1d6 minus 1 because he's only wielding it one-handed. And then that's plus his might, which is 0, so 2 damage.
Okay.
Another one is going to go after Wilhelm with a backsword, specifically a traditional, or well, not necessarily traditional, but a Chinese sword of a type that I can't actually recall the name of, but they were mass manufactured during this time, and basically look like scimitars. Or not scimitars, something. Well, they look like Persian scimitars. There we go. Now he rolled a total of 8.
So that does nothing because since it's less than 9, of course.
No. So that rule of 9 as a success is only for checks. This is an attack, so you're gonna have to contest it. Or Lefwin is gonna have to contest it, rather. I did say it was on Lefwin, right?
I think you said it was on Wilhelm.
Oh, that's right. I did say it was on Wilhelm. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna roll defense, which is just add your defense to 2d6.
Okay. Oof. That's a natural 2.
Oh boy. And do you have any defense?
A defense of 1.
All right. So that's not going to be enough. Dodging won't help you. Spending a fortune point won't help you. So what remains to you is you can either take the hit or you can do one of those other active defense maneuvers, such as a stop thrust or a parry. Just to give you an idea of what a stop thrust is, it is very hard to pull off, and I don't know if you have a melee weapon. Do you?
I do not.
Okay, so never mind that. So what remains to you is basically a bare hand parry or just taking the hit.
I will attempt to parry.
So that is going to be daring plus brawl plus 1.
Daring plus brawl plus 1.
And plus 2d6.
Okay. Daring plus brawl plus. See, did you say daring plus brawl plus defense or what?
Plus 1.
Oh, so that's let's see. I think that's a 9.
Okay, you're able to avoid taking the hit. However, a bare hand parry does cause you, when successful, to take 1d3, which is less than you would have taken from the back sword. And that's 3 damage, so maybe not. Maybe it's not less, but statistically less.
So 3 damage.
Yes. You recover damage pretty quickly in this game, though, so don't have it worry you too much.
Okay.
And then the remaining one is going to go after Lefwin. He has a very big knife, and he's just going to try to drive it into your head.
Head.
Yes, like into the
What?
top of your head.
Oh my, okay, I want to dodge this attack.
Well, so he is going to roll a 5 in all.
5, okay.
So roll 2d6, add your defense.
Do I do the brawl as well?
No, that would be if you were
Okay.
doing a bare hand parry.
No, I'll probably just try to like hit him with the like the butt of the rifle. I got a 6, and my suppose thing I could add is defense, which is 1, so that's 7.
So you do not take any damage.
This little man tried to stab me.
Now, because you have a reaction and because you evaded an attack, so rules as written, you need to actually dodge or parry an attack successfully and still have an attack and still have a reaction remaining in order to riposte. However, I figure they probably meant that if you avoid an attack and you still have a reaction, a melee attack that is, then you are able to riposte. I will look into that, but for now I'll just say, if you would like to, you can do that. And that is, what a riposte is that is a reaction attack.
Like a counter attack.
Yes, so that's savvy
okay.
plus melee plus 2d6.
Okay. I already had the bayonet attached to this weapon. To my
So you were just
there?
walking around the city with a rifle over your shoulder with a bayonet affixed.
Yeah, just for my safety. And I don't know if that's normal or not. But I would do it in real life. So I got 2d6 with my that's 8 on the die, and with my savvy it's 9, and my melee it's 10. It's 11.
Nice. This guy rolled a 3, so you're using your bayonet.
Yeah.
You know off the top of your head how much damage that is? Because if not, I'm just looking into it now.
I think it was like I don't know. Honestly, I just don't remember.
So a bayonet. I think that would be no. It's not listed as a dagger. It is listed as itself, and but treat it as a dagger. So that's gonna be 1d. Sorry. 1d3 plus 1.
Okay.
Or actually, so there's multiple types of daggers, which is weird. Never mind, just
I'll do the regular
1d3 plus 1.
Yeah, so I rolled 4, and that's probably.
And you don't even need to roll damage, I forgot. You just kill the guy
he
outright.
heals like 1 HP, okay.
Yeah. So, immediately after having shot one of these thugs, another one charges up to you with a big knife, tries to plunge it into your head, but you deftly duck out of the way and spear him with a bayonet.
Yeah. And he falls mortally wounded.
Yep. Sounds about right.
Okay. Nice.
And then that is So that's all of them, which brings us back to the top of the round. Except for one thing. Let me make sure I got this right. Let me make sure I'm thinking of this right. Let me check my notes. All right, so finally, a much bigger, also Chinese man wearing a green armband, or like a green rag around his shoulder, rather, and carrying a revolver and a back sword, emerges from behind the colonel and is going to split his action to make 2 shots into the colonel with his revolver. Now, he's able to do this because in the homebrew rules I've created for this, a pistol, or in this case a revolver, can fire twice in a round before having to be reloaded, or you can fire it, well, basically every round in which it fires, it needs to be reloaded afterwards. But it can fire up to twice in a round. So the first one is going to be, so this guy is not a pawn, he is a retainer. The first shot gets is just 5 to hit. Second shot is 8 to hit. So let's see how he defends. First one he's fine. Second one he's also fine. Okay. So these 2 shots, the colonel just wheels around just in time to avoid them. It is now his turn. And he is going to actually, I'll have everyone reroll initiative just to make this a little more interesting. Actually, I think it may even be in the rules that you reroll initiative every round, but I don't recall, so
That was
Okay.
a single d6 plus
Savvy.
flair? No, savvy. Savvy.
I got 2. Great.
Single D6 plus savvy. That's a 7.
4.
I rolled a 7 again.
wait, so what did Wilhelm get?
A 7.
Okay. And Evelyn.
4.
Okay. Right. There we go. So, Wilhelm, it is your turn. Well, actually, which of you two, Jeremy and Eve, which one of you wants to go first? Because you both have equal savvy, so there's not
Yeah, it
really
doesn't
a way to
matter. I'll
break
let
the
Jeremy
tie.
go first.
Okay. There's
Yeah.
probably a way in the rules to break the tie. I just don't feel like looking it up right now.
Yeah.
I'll look it up before next session.
So you said that what is it? You said that you can what did you say? You can split your action and take 2 shots.
Yeah, you can take 2 major actions, but each one is at -2 for the roll.
Okay. Yeah, I will take 2 shots at this guy.
The retainer.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's see. Let's see. One of my boons is crack shot, so I at least have a fighting chance to make this work.
All right.
Let's see. Okay, so that is That's a. Let's see if I'm doing this right. It's a 6 for my first shot, which I don't think does anything.
Actually, this guy rolled a 5, so... and he doesn't have a reaction because he split his action. He doesn't have fortune points because he is a retainer. So he's going to have to take the hit. So if you want to roll me d6 plus 1.
D6 plus 1. 7.
And he's almost dead.
And my second shot is a 5.
That one does not do anything. He is able to get out of the way of that one.
Okay. Cool.
Jean-Luc.
How close am I to everybody? I know I have that one gentleman in melee.
So the one in melee is like pretty much right up next to you. The one that the retainer is probably about 10 feet behind you. And the others are all in melee or, well, so there are, so there's one in melee with Wilhelm, there's one in melee with you, and one shooting at Adler, and then there's the retainer about 10 feet back.
How close can you get to melee? Like, is it 5 foot, kind of like other
So there's
RPGs?
two different distances in melee. One of them is just the normal melee distance, like arm's length, basically. The other one is corps à corps, meaning body to body, which is literally like grappling.
Gotcha. Okay, I will use my major action as a quick cut. That'll allow me to do 2 attacks without any penalty. So my first one is...
Is that 2 attacks without any penalty? Because I was under the impression that quick cut
Page
was actually...
74, quick cut, major action. Rather than a standard attack, you make 2 quick attacks at a foe with a single action. You perform this maneuver 1 phase sooner than you normally would. The attack may be used against the same opponent or 2 different opponents, with no penalty for splitting the action. Quick cut does not half your damage, rounded down.
Oh, okay.
And it can't be used with heavy weapons or 2-handed attacks, so I believe I can use it.
Yes, okay.
Okay, so
and
my first...
If that was the case,
Sorry?
In the future, if anyone wants to do a quick cut, please announce it before it is your turn, because in that case, you should have actually acted before Wilhelm.
Okay, well, in this exact situation, I'm not sure if that really matters, but I will make a note of that. So my first attack is a 5 of 6, plus my flare melee. That's a 14 to hit.
Oh boy.
And my next one
That is going to hit, though he also rolled pretty high with an 11, so he's dead.
Okay, my next attack for that split is an 11 as well. I'm not sure if that has to go to him or if I can move it to the
You're able
gentleman
to move that to
within
someone else.
10 feet. Okay, so that's an 11 to the next closest target, which I believe is the big boy.
I'm just trying to make sure this is... So they have to be adjacent. So I would say you could probably do this to the one in melee with Wilhelm.
Okay, yep, that works as well.
All right. So he's going to roll defense then, and unless he rolls boxcars, basically, or a 5 and a 6, and which he does not get, so he is. So you quickly stab the first one, and then the second.
Perfect, and I will save my minor action for a reaction.
All right. That brings us to the retainer, who draws his backsword and is going to charge at Adler. He is going to make a single attack. Blade work. Rolls. Seriously, just rolls a 4. And Adler rolls boxcars, so he's fine. I have a problem often when I'm running games where my enemies just do not perform very well in the first combat. They get absolutely stomped, which obviously it's better that than the other way around, but I just find it funny. So this guy is going to miss his attack. He's going to save his... actually, do retainers get minor actions? No, I'm not sure. I don't believe they do. So he actually he's not going to do anything. That brings us to Evelyn.
Can she try to get away from this situation at all?
Totally.
I think she'll do that.
Which direction are you going to go?
I guess just back, like just running directly behind her.
All right. You're able to get away from the situation, and though it does look like it is unfolding in the favor of, well, it is unfolding in such a way favorable to you guys.
It is, but she's definitely not used to this at all. So
Yeah.
she's probably pretty spooked.
Yeah. Adler is going to go next and is going to try to smack. Is going to basically try to smack the retainer's head with his cane. He rolls a 7 for blade work. The retainer rolls an 8 for defense and is fine. That brings us to Lefwin.
Okay, I suppose I'm melee because I haven't loaded my gun yet.
So you can either spend a minor action to reload your gun,
yeah.
or you can just do a melee thing.
Well, okay, if I can do a melee thing, I think it's more effective. If I have somebody close to me that I could help out.
So the only enemies left are the one that Adler is fighting in the back, and they're both in melee. And then there's also one with a pistol, probably about 10 feet in front of you.
So he's already got somebody on him. I'll just if that guy's 10 feet, I could probably reach him, but he's armed with a pistol, so he might shoot me.
By the way, something I completely forgot. So, Wilhelm, what did you do this round? Because you fired your pistol twice, right?
Yeah, I'd shot at the the one guy that had shot at Adler. And,
Okay, and
only
then the
one of
round before you had also fired your pistol.
Yes, I believe.
Now, like I said earlier, though you may not have caught it, and so pistols or revolvers, whatever it is, in the homebrew rules that I've created, in order to sort of balance them, and also to make it so that they're at least not literally flintlock pistols. You can fire them up to twice in a round. However, after being fired, in any particular round, you do have to reload. Now, I'm not going to go back in time or anything, just for the future. If in any round you fire it, in order to fire it the next round, you have to reload it.
Note taken.
All right. And I don't mean to pick on you or anything.
No.
It's hard for everyone learning a new system. I've never run this before. You guys have never played this before.
Yeah, it's good to know for future reference.
Yeah. So back to Lefwin, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's fine. Well, I was thinking if there's a guy in front of me with a pistol, my natural action would be to can't outrun a bullet, but I might be able to do like a plunge forward and then do a tumble, and like once it's done, stab him in his groin with the bayonet. That's what I would do in that situation.
So I think what that would count as is that would be... Just a second. That would be footwork, which is...
Okay, I'm so sorry, so sorry. I found this very funny for some reason.
So footwork is if an opponent or obstacle is blocking your way, you can roll this to get around it. If you're fighting an opponent who doesn't want to let you escape, it will allow you to disengage. And in some scenarios, the GM may declare that a certain position is very advantageous in a fight, granting +1 defense or +1 melee to whoever holds that position. So what we could say is that you maybe he sort of ducks into a building and you like break through the window and impale him on your bayonet. I don't know. Do you got any ideas?
Well, I thought he wasn't like behind any objects.
Well, he's just out in the street, so
Oh, okay,
that was just
well.
an idea I had.
Well, in that case, I would like to do that footwork
Well,
thing.
problem is there's no the reason I said maybe he ducks into a building is so that there would be terrain to maneuver around. Otherwise, doing footwork just does nothing.
Okay, I'm sorry.
no
In that
worries.
case, I'm just gonna like do an attack that's just really cool, and it'll just be what I said, but it would just be a normal attack then. No, there was like special like things.
If you want, you could tag him, which is basically like writing your initials on someone's forehead with your blade or something.
I think that would be way too precise, and he would have time to shoot me. So I think I would just prefer to like impale him like Dracula impaled the Ottomans in a kind of same fashion, really.
Oh, I know what you're thinking of. So there's an action or a maneuver called lunge, daring plus melee.
Yeah, lunge.
Which is you do an additional 1d6 damage in addition to what you would normally do, but you get -1 defense until your next turn.
Oh,
so it's
worth it.
For flavor, you could do that, but it doesn't really matter.
Okay, well, let's do it. I rolled a 7, and my melee is 2, so that's 9. But I don't know.
And then are you doing a regular attack, or are you doing a lunge?
Lunge, yes.
Alright, so you're also going to add your daring.
Oh, okay. Well, that's 10.
Okay. This guy rolls a 7, he's dead.
Perfect. Okay, I'm gonna like do the tumble, and the way out of the roll, I'm gonna like get out my like bayonet from like I'm holding it, and I'm just gonna like extend my hands and stab him. And yeah, nice.
All right. top of the round, everyone can roll initiative again.
I rolled a 4.
3.
I rolled a 7 again.
I got a 6.
Um, right. Wilhelm, you're up first.
Okay. So, what is in my immediate line of sight?
I guess in your immediate line of sight, probably just the one guy remaining.
All right. So, well, seeing as there's not too much else to do, well, I'm gonna, just for the sake, I'm gonna reload my pistol, just because I forgot to do that before. But if that's okay with you,
Of course, yeah.
and that's a minor action, so I should have another action.
Yep, major action.
I
Or you
guess-
can save it for a reaction, but there's not really a point in doing that at
I
this
guess
point.
I'll take one shot at him. If that's all right.
Yep, savvy plus ranged plus 2d6.
Savvy plus range.
And
plus-
then if you have it, does crack shot give you a bonus to that as well?
let's see. I know it gives me a bonus. It gives me a bonus die. Increases range. It's a die. You get a bonus die on all damage rolls with a firearm. Increases their range increments by 10 foot. Takes 2 fortune points to turn your shot into a close call. Fortune point merely halves the damage. So,
But you said a bonus die. Is that to all shots?
it says you get a bonus die on all damage rolls with a firearm.
Oh, so basically all of these shots, or for damage rolls or for hit rolls?
It says damage rolls.
Oh, okay. So, okay. I should have remembered that last. I should have thought of that last round because that would have probably killed the retainer. But anyway, so what did you roll again?
Let's see. So that's a savvy plus ranged.
Yep.
Let's see. That's 9.
Good shot. You got him.
He's dead.
Now, are you going to try to make it non-lethal, or are you just gonna dispatch this guy?
I'm probably just gonna dispatch him. Wilhelm's a pretty no nonsense guy. He's
Yeah.
like he's probably killed far more men than he can count. What's one more man to his body count?
Fighting gentlemen. Evelyn, you can come out of hiding. The danger has passed.
And she does.
Now, it is my estimation that these individuals belong to the Green Gang. It is a Chinese triad operating in Shanghai. They have great influence in this area. And I may have made some enemies with them. In any case, we should move on. The police will understand if they even bother to come inspect the crime scene. They will understand what happened. Wilhelm, you in particular know that this particular area of Shanghai, the police don't really go here.
Yeah, Wilhelm is probably going to say something like, the police are pretty much useless here.
That is one way to look at it. I suppose you have more experience with them than I do, however.
I've been in the area for a few months.
Well, that's what you get when practically half of them are Americans and the other half are people who couldn't get into the Deutsches Ostasien army.
And Wilhelm is just gonna, nod. He's gonna also turn to Lefwin. He had the rifle, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And he's just going to say, if it wouldn't have been very inconspicuous, I'd have thought to bring my old service rifle along with me as well.
Why would it be so? I bring my weapons everywhere. If you want to transport something and you're afraid that you can't, always put it on my ship.
Not that I'm afraid to carry it around. It's I at least try to take care of business democratically and not so brutally.
Oh,
But nevertheless, I never leave my dwelling unarmed, as you can see.
Well, that is definitely a good habit, having some kind of a weapon on you.
Yes. Quite.
Sorry about that. The internet completely crapped out and won't reconnect on my computer. So, yeah. In any case, did I miss anything?
I was just kind of going back and forth. Wilhelm was just kind of talking with Lefwin about him bringing a rifle to the streets. Not necessarily like bad mouthing him, but it's just it would for his sort of business, doing a doing business diplomatically might look a little weird, just carrying around a rifle with him at all times.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I didn't hear any of that. I thought you were just being quiet. So
yeah, he's going
Yeah.
to. One last thing he's going to say. Yes, my old what's it called? My old service pistol here never lets me down. I could never get around the Lugers. They never felt quite right in my hands.
all right. The Oberst is going to laugh about that and say, I wouldn't know. I am a medical officer. So, as you can see, I can handle myself in any kind of fight. So, I never really handled a rifle.
It is good that you at least remain armed and not entirely pacifistic as many medics tend to be.
You see, I said medical officer. I'm a surgeon. So, the status of medical officers in the army is somewhat complicated. In any case, we should be going. The gunshots will only attract trouble. He drops the cigarette that has been hanging out of his mouth this whole time and crushes it under a jackboot and begins walking.
Yeah, Wilhelm will just kind of holster his pistol and follow closely behind him.
Evelyn's going to gesture around wildly with revolver still in hand, just going, "Wow, that was amazing!" Before realizing what she's doing, sticking it back in her bag, and lighting a cigarette herself.
Wilhelm will kind of glance back just as she just completely flags him, and he instinctively ducks.
I'll say Jean-Luc retrieves his dagger and then he starts examining one of these foreign daggers that we've come across, but otherwise, that's all he'll do.
We'll say so. The way that healing works in this game is you recover half of your lost lifeblood after combat, basically within the next. No matter how much you lost, you get half of it back within and it's not really a specific amount of time; it's fairly abstracted. And then the rest you recover one a day.
Did you say how many? But how quickly you kind of cut out a little bit? I didn't quite get that.
Sorry, my internet is having a lot of funny business going on. But so within an hour after a combat, you regain half of the lost lifeblood. It's not a set amount of time. It could be 5 minutes. It could be an hour. It's just abstracted. And then, other than that, you regain one per day.
I thought so. I just wanted to double check and make sure that's what you that was what you said.
Oh, quite all right. as you guys are walking, he will continue to make conversation about subjects he's knowledgeable about, ranging from ancient languages to anthropology and from medical treatises to whatnot. And eventually you all end up in a much nicer area of town. It's probably around 11:30 at this point. And the walls of the old legation quarter, where all the embassies are housed, are visible in the distance. We have almost reached the end of our walk. Now, I should recommend that you stay within those walls after you have dropped me off, at least until the end of the night. I fear that the attack on us may draw attention. The various hoodlums in Shanghai will be on high alert.
Understood.
Absolutely.
Now, when you get there, he goes into a hotel next to the German legation, where he has a suite made available to him, and he gives you all money for lodgings within the old legation quarter, in order to stay the night. Just because, like he said, he doesn't want you getting attacked in the streets again.
Gotcha.
Does everyone find somewhere to stay within the walls, or is anyone going to be brave and try to get back home?
Wilhelm's gonna kind of play it safe and stay within the their little safe haven.
So is everyone.
Yeah, Jean-Luc is very much a city person and a city dweller, so he's not going to stray too far at all from where he feels is safe.
All right. So, in the early morning, and I'm talking like before the sun has even risen, there is. Well, actually, does anyone wake up before dawn, or is anyone's character like a particularly light sleeper?
I would imagine. Well, no, I'd imagine Wilhelm's a pretty heavy sleeper. He's probably found plenty of time to like sleep during many a battle during the Great War. So I imagine he's a pretty heavy sleeper.
Sorry about that. I'm trying to make lasagna. Sorry about the noise.
No worries, man. You got to eat. Jean-Luc is probably a heavy sleeper as well. He was a sailor for a while, so he's gotten used to just living among noise and movement and just chaos. So I imagine he's probably knocked right out.
Evelyn would probably be used to getting up early to take care of her husband. So she probably wakes up pretty early.
So Evelyn is awoken before dawn by a gunshot. It's not nearby, but it is loud and rings out throughout the old legation quarter.
She'll probably be a little freaked out by that. So it's not near her. It wouldn't cause her immediate panic, I'm assuming.
Yeah. You have a window which overlooks one of the main gates in the wall. And then also, so you happen to know that you are staying in the same lodging as Jean-Luc,
Okay.
though not in the same room, obviously.
She'll probably sit in bed, kind of stewing about this noise that she heard, and then she'll probably go search him out.
Jean-Luc, you hear a knock at your door, which awakens you.
I guess after a little while, Jean-Luc would wake up and walk his way to the door and see who's knocking at his door at this early hour.
You just see Evelyn's like massive eyes, and she doesn't know exactly how to process it, and she's just like, I heard, I think, a gunshot somewhere out there.
He's just going to kind of scan down the street and see if he sees anything, but obviously he's not just going to see a gun walking down the street, probably. So he will quickly, I guess, hurry her inside to safety and then start waking everyone else up if
Well, you're all
if they're in the same
inside.
premises.
You're like you're standing at the doorway of your hotel room.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I guess he'll say we should find the others, and then he'll work his way to, I guess, Leftwin's house or Leftwin's apartment or lodging.
So Lefwin and Wilhelm are both staying at the same hotel as Sepp, who is the colonel, and you're able to find them, and you're able to find them, or their rooms rather. Which one do you knock on first?
Whichever's closest, I imagine.
We will say that is Wilhelm's.
Okay. I'm going to say it takes a little bit longer to awaken Wilhelm because I remembered one of his flaws is poor hearing. Again, probably is another symptom of his time serving in the Great War and any other armed conflict afterwards. So,
All right, I feel like Jean-Luc will like politely knock at first, and then after like a good 5 minutes, he'll be like, "Oh, Monsieur, we do not have time," and then he'll start really banging on the door, trying to wake Wilhelm.
yeah, he like after a while he's just going to just like angrily just like fling the door open. He's just like in his I guess bed attire, and he's just like, "What is the meaning of this?"
Monsieur Wilhelm, we have heard gunshots, or at least Madame has. I'm not sure. You might be the best person to handle the situation.
Are they close by?
I do not know.
Close enough.
You might want to put some pants on.
All right. As we get dressed, and I will be out. And he heads back inside his room to get himself ready.
I guess we won't just camp outside of Wilhelm's store. We'll probably make our way to Leftwin's if it's close enough, and knock on his door as well.
Leftwin, you were awoken by knocking on your door and possibly French cursing.
Ah. Hold on for a moment. Ah, good to see you. What is this calamity? What is this clamor?
Sorry to awaken you in such a disarray, but there are reports of gunshots in the nearby area, and I figured you would be best informed of such a situation.
Yes, I should be. And I think I will remain here until the situation resolves itself. And unless, of course, you want me to do something for you, which is why you've come, probably.
Yes, I am not sure the best way to do this. I have no firearms as such.
So I have my trusty Gewehr in case anyone tries to tread on my territory. I'm gonna like reach out and grab it.
Yeah, probably not too long after Wilhelm will kind of walk around the corner, you know, like all dressed up. He's probably like adjusting his, like doing some like very quick final like adjustments on his like he's probably like just pinning his iron cross to his coat.
By now, dawn has broken. What do you all want to do now?
Wilhelm would like to kind of maybe venture outside and listen to see if like I guess rather like to very, you know, maybe very quickly, are we still hearing gunfire?
There was only one gunshot.
Okay. Okay.
Evelyn's just gonna say, well, I mean, I think I only heard one. It's probably nothing, right? Like, am I overreacting? Now that I've gotten everybody up and ready. Good morning.
Well, with some of the gang activity, like in this general area, and from my own experience as a soldier in the Great War, gunfire does not concern me as maybe it should, like, for others.
That is probably very true. Should we let Colonel Sepp, what was his name? Adler? Should we let him know?
Adler.
Sepp von Adler, that's right. Yeah, should we let him know?
Should you?
I imagine Jean-Luc is probably thinking that we should. He probably has a good situation of what's going on in the camp at any given day, so
Yeah,
he might have
Wilhelm will
an explanation for this.
Certainly, Wilhelm would agree that it would probably be best that everybody in the party be aware of the situation.
So you're able to find where von Adler is staying? Do you knock on the door or anything like that?
Yeah,
I feel like Jean-Luc will
Yeah.
will do it as well. He'll run up ahead and knock just as Wilhelm is getting to the door.
Yeah, I imagine Wilhelm was probably about to knock, but in a more polite and proper manner.
A minute passes. Then another minute. Do you keep waiting?
Jean-Luc is going to give a worried look to everybody, and he's going to start banging louder again. Just maybe that, maybe he's a hard sleeper too, or hard of hearing.
So the clerk who monitors the desk at this time of morning comes up the stairs and says, who are you looking for?
Colonel Adler.
Colonel von Adler. He is the gentleman with the monocle and the gold tooth, right?
Oui, yes.
Yes, he went for a walk. Probably half an hour ago. He does so, I'm told, fairly often in the very early mornings. Though he assured me he would remain within the walls of the old legation quarter.
Do you happen to know which direction he went for his morning walk?
It looked like he was going around the wall.
And just to clarify, is this approximately the direction that Evelyn had said gunshots were coming from? A single gunshot?
I would say Evelyn is not able to... Well, actually, if you would like, you can roll me Savvy, but you're going to need a really high roll.
Okay. Uh, 11.
Okay. So you're able to ascertain the direction that it came from, which was basically near the British legation, roughly.
Okay.
So I guess the question is, do we want to go for a walk and try and retrace the steps, or do we want to wait around, or do we want to do something else?
We've waited for quite some time. I think we should go look for him.
But of course. And I guess we will head in the direction that lovely little bellhopper employee had pointed out.
So you're heading just along the wall, or are you heading directly to the British embassy?
I imagine we'd probably go along the wall, but if we get to a decent point and haven't come across anything, we'd probably be best going to the embassy.
All right. As you're walking along the wall, you're walking for a good 5 minutes, and then you see a small crowd start to form in the early morning light, probably a good 30 yards along the wall from the British legation.
Yeah, Wilhelm will certainly be making his make his way towards the crowd to investigate the commotion.
The car begins driving up. It is you're not able to see what sort of make of car it is, but some men get out and start investigating the scene. Notably, the car came from outside of the old legation quarter, which, Wilhelm, you happen to know that that is a little bit unusual. Or actually, sorry, you happen to know that the only the only people with cars are generally people living in this quarter or nearby, so it's just strikes you as a little bit odd.
Yeah, he'll definitely kind of take note of this and kind of become a little bit concerned about the matter.
As you all get up to the crowd, you see that the car has no license plates. However, it does have a fairly long inscription in Japanese, or not all that long, but it's longer than the translations. There is what you presume to be a translation of it in Chinese, which is much shorter than it, and what you presume to be a translation in English, which just says police. And there are three men getting out of this car. All of them look vaguely Asian, and one of them has a sword at his belt, and he is his two lackeys are just kind of directing the crowd away in broken English, saying, "Nothing to see here. Move along. Police business." And the gentleman with the sword is he just grabs. He is sort of investigating something that you're not able to see because of the crowd. Do you move closer?
Yes. Wilhelm is undeterred.
Sir, this is government business. Please move along. There is nothing to see here. Shanghai police. And you just walk right past him, I assume?
He'll probably say something along the lines of I am a representative of the is Kaiserreich like the official title of like the
It means empire, yeah.
yeah. I am a like, he says something along the lines like I am a representative of the Kaiserreich. I am looking for I'm looking for a fellow dignitary.
At this, the man with the sword wheels around and says, "This is not your affair." He says, "This is not your affair. Unless you know this man." And he points at the ground, and slumped up against the wall is a still breathing Colonel von Adler. However, he is frothing blood out his mouth. He has sustained a wicked gunshot to the abdomen, and he is vaguely, with a very shaky hand, he is holding his Luger. His face is completely white, other than the blood that has spilled out of his mouth, and his eyes are bloodshot.
He's just going to say like he's gonna say something like Colonel Adler, just like exclaim and just kind of push past anybody, which I imagine, given his size and his like overall stature is not too difficult to get to Adler's side.
By the time you force through the crowd, the visible breathing is already slowing down. And the people in the crowd, who are of all walks of life, various ethnicities, are all like saying in various ways, saying, somebody get a doctor, things like that. And the so-called police, who you notice have distinctly Japanese accents, are just sort of standing around. And the one with the sword asks again, "Did you know this man?"
Evelyn will kind of ignore him and just kind of power through since she does have nurse's training.
He will, Wilhelm will answer, "Yes, he accompanied us to he accompanied us here like late last night."
Then of course you will not mind if we have some questions for you about his suicide.
Suicide?
Well, yes, it is clear that's what it is. And he grabs the gun out of the obust's hand, which is slowly falling to the ground already, and reveals that there has been a single round fired from its magazine.
Do the wounds on him like correspond to that?
There is a gunshot wound in his upper abdomen.
Okay. Yeah, that's not adding up to me.
My good sir, I have no reason to believe that Colonel Adler would commit such an act. And even if he did, why in God's name would he choose to shoot himself in the abdomen when he could shoot himself in the temple?
Can I try to like put pressure on it? Would that? I honestly don't know if that would do anything. Probably slow bleeding a little bit.
Now, normally I would say roll your profession, because you have physician as a profession, right? Though technically you're a nurse.
Yes.
So I would say roll that plus savvy. And in fact, you know what? You can make an attempt at it.
Okay. Is it still 2d6?
Yep, 2d6 plus your career and your savvy.
11.
All right, you are able to sort of staunch the bleeding, but it's very clear you will need like medical supplies and probably more people to actually keep him alive. He begins to speak, though it clearly is taking him great effort. He's speaking, and he says, through these bubbles of blood, "Help me. Help me. In God's name, help me. They need to be found." And then he passes out.
Oh boy.
He's not dead, but he is passed out.
Okay. She's just kind of like, I'm trying. Hang on. And she's gonna try to, motion for the others to come around and help her. And she's gonna say, is there a hospital nearby?
Wilhelm would know that there is one nearby, in this quarter. It's not very large, but there is one.
Yeah, Wilhelm will greatly relay that information you know to them.
She'll probably take off her sweater and kind of like use it also to kind of like put pressure on it and try to keep the bleeding down as much as possible if somebody here can carry him to the hospital if it's that close.
Please, woman, withdraw from the corpse. We will be taking it to police headquarters to be investigated.
He's not a corpse yet. You need to move.
Shows what you know, woman. He is very dead.
She's gonna get like a little womanly tood and she's just gonna push him aside. At least try.
I will intervene and pull out my little pocket watch and put the polished metal in front of his mouth. Show that the steam coming out of his mouth is proof of his condition of being alive, because he'll like put the steam on it.
Like when we were at Lowe's, or somebody had
All right. The men with the sword will order his subordinates to begin loading the body into the trunk of their car, and they will begin doing so. I assume someone will want to stop them.
Yeah, Jean-Luc will, in a very French manner, be like, "Monsieur, put him down! We do not know!" And he'll just start getting in this guy's face.
They hesitate long enough that there is heard on the flagstones of the cobbled streets, there is heard a clattering of hooves. And probably 6 men in police uniforms, actual police uniforms, ride up. All of them appear to be Westerners. One of them is in plain clothes, probably a detective. They're all on horseback, and they sort of just surround the car. And one of them says, "In the name of the law, stop what you're doing. All of you."
Jean-Luc will say to the guys, "See what you have done now." But he'll just back up.
And so all of these policemen will dismount, and so shall begin an argument between the probably Japanese men and the policemen. But what happens is the man with the sword unclips the sword from his belt, takes off his sort of official-looking hat, and throws up his hands and says, "No speak English!" "No speak English! You get away from me!" And then, as it becomes clear that the police aren't going to buy this, they jump into their car and speed off. What does everyone do?
with Adler inside.
No, they were not able to load him into the car. They just sort of drop him on the ground.
I think Evelyn's just going to stare and just all in confusion and continue trying to hold pressure on that wound.
It occurs to you, Wilhelm, that these gentlemen are operatives of the China Special Agency, which is an arm of the Japanese imperial government.
What, the people who were posing as police?
Yes.
Okay.
And the policemen, they all mount up and ride after the car, except for the detective. Good day. I'm sorry, I forgot his name. Good day. I'm Detective Bragg. Looks like you guys have found yourselves in a bit of a mess. Now, we're going to have to take this guy to a hospital because it looks like he's still breathing. And I think you were trying to do that.
Yes, indeed, my good sir.
Now, let's get him there. And then he says, I'll explain what's going on the way, or at least what I think's going on.
Very well.
It also occurs to everyone that the China agency agents never did relinquish the colonel's gun. Either way, so Detective Bragg begins explaining. So they're operatives of the China Special Agency, or the agency, China Agency, whatever you prefer to call it. Damn, he's bleeding all over me. It'll be fine. Now, I don't know what they had against this guy, or even if they did whatever they did to this guy. But how they generally operate is they kind of bluff their way into everyone thinking that they're police. We're not able to go after them legally because they have too much sway in both business council and just in pure hard power here. Like basically every time there's a major investigation, they will reach out to the police in an official capacity asking to take it on. And sometimes when something like this happens, they don't even bother with that kind of formality. They just show up. As you guys are approaching the hospital, some nurses come out and place von Adler onto a stretcher and wheel him into an operating room. And Bragg then asks, so what was your relation to this man? And he's asking all of you.
Wilhelm will say that he summoned him like the night prior.
Yeah, I think Jean-Luc will also say, we were, instructed to meet him, and he'll, I guess, produce the letter that he had received to state to meet at the docks and all that.
Bragg looks it over and he says, well, whoever he was, he had a lot of influence. And come to think of it, I recognize his face. He's been here before. He made quite a few enemies, but that's beyond the scope of this investigation. What we need to find out is who inflicted the wound on him. Now, what did the agents say to you before they beat their retreat?
They had told us that he had committed suicide, which I unquestionably do not believe, especially that he had said to us that somebody needs to be found. So obviously someone has attempted to murder Colonel Adler.
Interesting. Now, that's probably just poor detective work on their part, but it could be malice. Now, their general modus operandi is round up suspects, round up witnesses, hold a trial in the Japanese legation, and then execute the sentence of the accused in mainland Japan. Now, of course, the identity of the accused is completely up to the China agency itself, so you can imagine just how just their verdicts are.
Yeah, Wilhelm just nods.
Now, that's why it's imperative that we, and he points to himself, the Shanghai police, keep this police matter and not just and not allow them to horn in on our investigation. I'm not asking you to help or anything. However, any insight you may have would be very useful. Frankly, my recommendation is that you're not going to want to be in the city in a couple of hours. Or at least, if you are, you're going to want to be in a real safe place. We can talk about that. But the agency is going to go after you. And any other enemies you might have are going to go after you. So, first order of business, I suppose, is to talk about your options. Now, for one thing, you could go to the slums. But now the advantage of that is that the agency won't be able to find you there. The disadvantage is we won't be able to protect you there. So if you've got any enemies, which you very well may, that's not a great option. Another one would be to go to the American legation. I know you're not all Americans by the looks of you, but it's best that you stay together, and you'll be able to apply for temporary asylum in the embassy until this all blows over. Alternatively, you could leave Shanghai for a bit, go down to the League of Eight Provinces, and live in some major city for a couple of weeks. Or I suppose you could turn yourselves over to the China agency if you're so inclined.
Well, I can't imagine that would be the best motive would be to turn ourselves over for crimes crimes that we did not commit, I guess.
They wouldn't have you as suspects, most likely. They'd have you as witnesses, but they wouldn't let you leave their custody.
Well, to hold a diplomat of the Kaiserreich would not be a very good move on their part.
You know, I agree. But that won't stop them from provoking a diplomatic incident. I'd say your best option is probably to, in a couple of hours, make your way to the American legation. Though I suppose if you're really up to it, you could help with the investigation. Not sure how the chief would feel about that, but at least we'd be able to keep you safe that way.
Maybe. I'd like to know who is. I'd like to know the identity of the hopefully would-be assassin of my colleague.
We'd like to know that too. I'll tell you what. Don't make up your minds yet, but if you're up to it, we can examine him and see if he can't give us any testimony once he's conscious. I'm sure he'd respond better to a fellow German asking him what happened, especially a fellow colleague, than he would a bunch of grouchy Americans.
Certainly. Though it may not be, active duty anymore. Though I may not be active duty in the armed forces anymore, I do outrank him, or at least I did outrank him. Let's see. There was, I believe he's General Lieutenant, which is basically a lieutenant general, is what Wilhelm's rank was before he decided to leave the army. So he's a fairly high-ranking officer in his time.
Well, that's good, I guess. Now, I suppose now we wait for him to regain consciousness.
Yes, so long as the doctors can save the man. He was very clearly in very critical condition.
Certainly. So about 2 hours later, you get word that he has stabilized and that he appears to be regaining consciousness. Detective Bragg asks, "So, who wants to help me?"
Wilhelm will.
Yeah, Jean-Luc will go forward and also offer his, whatever he can do.
And so will Evelyn.
Will, it appears we lost Lubin.
I think he had to just cut out for a bit, but I imagine he'd be coming with us.
Yeah. So you make your way into the basically one of the rooms in the emergency department, and von Adler is basically like he's in like one of those hospital gowns that they make you put on before you get a surgery, or after in this case, and he's got IVs in him. His monocle's not on, and he is smoking, and has a very his reaction when the door opens shows that he's probably not supposed to be. Gentlemen, and Evelyn, This is awkward. I saw to one of the nurses. They don't want me. They don't want me smoking in here, but that's not my problem.
Glad to see that you are. Glad to see that you are recovering, Colonel.
Then I would be recovering much slower if one of the nurses hadn't left my pack of cigarettes by my bedside. That's what a healthful appearance will get you. And he flashes a big smile, and sort of brushes his hair with his hand. But enough about me. How are you?
We are doing just fine. We are, relieved to see that you are recovering. Now, we're here to, and we have some authorities with us, and we'd like to ask you about what happened to you.
Well, I'm afraid I can't be of much help. All I saw was, well, it all happened so fast, and a figure emerged from my left, had been walking behind me, and told me to get on the ground. I drew my pistol, and I did not fire, but I did not, because I was shot first. I didn't get a good look at the figure. There are not exactly street lights anywhere in Shanghai.
Were they, you said that they'd spoken to you. Can you pinpoint, their tone of voice, their accent? Were they Chinese, or?
It was hard to tell. If I think on it more, maybe. But like I said, it all happened so fast, and as I know very well from talking to my patients, sometimes when we are attacked very quickly and lose consciousness, we do not remember very many details and do not remember them well.
I certainly understand. I've probably lost a majority of memory as well as my hearing from many a trips to the infirmary during the war.
One of my own, always getting injured. Yes, even though I was never combat personnel, I did sustain damage to my left eye from a gas attack. The mask had been, well, I had improperly put it on. And, well, my sight in that eye hasn't been the same, but that's why I have a monocle.
Understood.
But I see you have a detective with you. And Detective Bragg just kind of waves. Um, Colonel von Adler, I'm just here to investigate your what appears to have been an attempt on your life. Now, do you happen to know if you had any enemies in this city who may have wanted to do this to you? Do you think that whoever did this? Well, actually, what I ought to ask is, what were you carrying on you? And then he begins rifling through the pockets of the colonel's coat, which is laying on a nearby table. And the colonel relays everything he had on him, which ranged from family photographs to bullets to bandages to lots of cigarettes. All of it's still there, including all of his money. And the detective determines that this was not a robbery. The detective asks him what language his assailant called out in, and he says German. But pointedly, he says German.
I was going to say Jean-Luc probably also mentions that they managed to steal your Luger when we scared them off.
Scared who off?
Whoever. Well, he'll mention these foreign detectives that were trying to investigate the scene. And again, they absconded with his Luger, so I'll relay all that information.
Detective Bragg says, yeah, it was a trio of China agency people. I don't know if you know what that is. Most people outside of the legation cities don't. But basically, it's Japan's attempt at taking the whole city for itself. Now, I actually have a question for the lot of you. And he turns to you guys, and he asks, when did the China agency car drive up to the scene? Was it did you see it drive up, or did it get there before you?
We had seen the car. We had seen their vehicle drive up as we approached the crowd that had gathered around Colonel von Adler.
Yeah, Jean-Luc will also mention that's my recollection as well, is that the vehicle had pulled up basically around the time we got there.
Sorry about that. So von Adler, so Detective Bragg says, well, in that case, if the China agency did it, at least we know that it wasn't those three who did it. Or if they did, they returned to the scene of the crime pretty quickly. So, do you lot have any questions?
I am deeply concerned that the would-be assassin had spoken our mother tongue. though I cannot, without hearing the voice myself, I cannot discern whether it was potentially a native speaker, and that they were within the walls of our they were within the walls of our I'm just gonna use the term safe haven. I can't recall the term that you used.
The legation.
The legation, yeah. Yeah, that's what I meant.
All right. Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
He's said, he's concerned that the would-be assassin was also a German speaker. He wasn't sure, though he couldn't tell without hearing the voice himself, whether it was like a native German speaker, and that the assassin was in the walls of their legation.
Yeah, Jean-Luc will be like, this is very concerning indeed, that they are so close and that they perhaps speak the same language as you. It makes me think there could be many people that could fit this description.
Now, if I were to guess, the assassin didn't stay around the walls of the legation quarter. Though it's entirely possible. Whatever the case, we'll be investigating it. Now, it's probably about time for you all to start thinking about your decision of where to hunker down. And out of character, I think this is a good stopping point. This is about everything I have prepared. So, yeah.
Yeah, good session. I like
Very
that.
good session.
Thank
a
you.
little bit of combat, mostly role play, and I'm gonna end the broadcast now.
I will say I didn't actually plan on Adler living, which I probably should have, but